falsehoods begin here with Lincoln's election. Before March 4th, Lincoln is at work he's planning to invade the South. Seward wants to invade Fort Pickens down in Pensacola. We've already had a problem there. Lincoln says, no, we're going to hit Fort Sumter. So that's where it went. He said he wanted to strike South Carolina first at Fort Sumter in Charleston. This is known as a silent aggression. He had to make it look like we were the aggressors, even though he was. He didn't want to look like the aggressor because the northern people may not want to fight. A lot of them didn't want to fight anyway, but he had to scare them to make them want to fight us. And he scared a lot of them, he misled them, but a lot of them still refused to fight. He had to make the South look as the aggressor since 2/3 of the Northerners didn't want to fight us. But he changed some of their minds. All right, down in Fort Sumter, Major Anderson, the Yankee, he's the Yankee garrison commander at Fort Sumter. Actually, he was at Fort Moultrie. He moved to Fort Sumter. That was the first overt act of war on the part of the North. Not us. People will say, oh, y'all fired the first shot. Y'all started the war. No, that's not right. It was the silent aggression of the North that started the war. The North did. They tried to make it look like we started. Tensions were mounting. South Carolina tells, Governor Pickens tells Lincoln, don't send any ships down here. We'll treat you as a foreign invader. However, we are feeding the garrison, so they are not without food. There's a lot of stories saying that the garrison, Anderson's garrison, starved. That's not true. We let them come to Charleston and buy vegetables up until not until a week or so, maybe before the bombardment started. Y'all know about in January 9th, Lincoln sent a merchant ship. It was called the Star of the West. He said he was going to send provisions in. Well, we knew better. He actually had troops down below to reinforce Fort Sumter. He entered the harbor and we fired at him. Of course, we didn't hit him, we just scared him off. Tensions mounted still. By February 1st, 6 other states had left the Union. There's a whole lot going on here. I'm trying to get finished. I'm almost done. On April 7th, Lincoln orders his warships to Sumter. At the same time, he's telling his peace commissioners that no, we're not going to attack Fort Sumter, but we're going to send provisions. He's talking out of both sides of his mouth. Seward, on April 10th, 1861, 2 days before Fort Sumter crisis, he writes the Minister of England on what they're doing. He says, Seward officially writes the Minister of England, it would be contrary to the spirit of the American government to use armed force to subjugate the South. The people of the South will stay out of the Union. If they desire independence, let them have it. That's a lie. As he was saying that, warships were on the way to Charleston. And he also added, only a despotic and imperial government could subjugate seceding states. That's what he was calling himself, I guess. I can't imagine how a man can have two faces like that. But Seward and Lincoln did. Let's see. We've told the peace commissioners that Sumter will not be reinforced. But when we find out that they did come down there, the peace commissioners had to return back to South Carolina. All negotiations failed. And as everybody knows, April 12th is when we fired on Confederates fired on Fort Sumter. After we had asked Anderson to leave. He finally left. But during the war, as I've read, I found that a lot of Yankee troops didn't even like Lincoln. They had to order him a lot of times to not talk bad about him. They had to order Lincoln to salute they had to order their troops to salute Lincoln if he came out on the battlefield. There was a lot of distrust on the part of the Yankee soldier of Lincoln. Arbitrary arrests, as y'all know, started in the North. If you showed any sentiment for the South, you were arrested. The prisoner exchange was stopped by Lincoln in about 1862 or 3, and that created the horrors of places just like Andersonville. Of course, the Yankees, they had plenty of supplies and medicine, but they chose to withhold it from our boys. They declared medicine a contraband of war. I want to close with this. What Lincoln has done after he got his war and after they beat us, he did violate personal liberty. He had violated constitutional rights. He had violated liberty of the press. He had been guilty of all the abuses of a military dictator. And he had refused to work with Confederate peace commissioners. These are criminal charges. Now, people also say that we rebelled, the South rebelled. Well, I've got a different way to look at that. I've got here perhaps the biggest falsehood is that the Southern people rebelled. There can be no rebellion except against a lawful ruler. And ladies and gentlemen, we did not have a lawful ruler back then. So how can they say that we rebelled? And that's all I've got for you. Thank you for your attention. And let's be proud of our ancestors who lived through this turbulent time. Thank you. I'll try not to talk too long. I could ramble all day, though.
Good. Thanks very much, Michael. At this time, I want to turn the program over to our gentleman in gray over there, Commander.
Roll on. Out. Hey.